Okay, now I'm going to log into one of my switch. Yes, switch. Admin is the default username, and you have to give the password. It's like the same way you log into the controller. I mean, you log into the Netapp cluster. You can log into the switch by using same way. I mean, by using putty itself. Okay, to the command line of the switch. So this is my switch name. SWD77 is my switch name, and admin is the user which I use to log into the switch. Okay, if you use different name, then it will display here. So now fabric show. This is the command to give us the details about the fabric. I mean, for example, if you log into any switch and it will, if you run this command, it will display us, I mean, how many switches we have in that fabric, like that. It will give you all the details about the entire fabric. That means what are the partner switches we have, I mean, which are connected with this switch in the same SAN network. It will display all the details. Here in my environment, this is a small data center where I logged into. Okay, and here we have only two switches. One as a fabric A, and we are using another switch as a fabric B. That is the reason we don't have more switches. We have only one switch in this fabric. Okay, so here this is the domain ID of the switch. Just a second. Okay, so this is the domain ID of the switch. Okay, and this is the IP address of the switch. IP address means we don't use IPs in the SAN switches. Only IP will use in SAN switches. That is for management purpose. If you want to log into the switch remotely, you can log into the switch using this IP address. That is the only IP we have. Okay, in order to present in order to connect a storage or server, we don't need any IP address here because this is a SAN network, and this is the switch name. Okay, and you can notice a greater than symbol in front of this switch. Okay, greater than symbol indicates that this is the principal switch in this fabric. We have only one switch, right? That is the reason that right away it has a greater than symbol in front of it. For example, if we have a more than one switch, like let's assume we have five switches in this fabric, only one switch will be having greater than symbol in front of its name. So what does it mean by greater than symbol? Means it is a principal switch. Principal switch. It is a role. This is a role which will be assigned to the one of the switch in the fabric. So what the principal switch will do is it will make sure that whatever changes we are doing on fabric, it will make sure that those changes will be distributed to the all the switch in a fabric. That is the main functionality of the principal switch. Principal switch don't have any other privileges than that. What it will do, it will make sure that it will all the configuration changes will be uh, replicated to all the switches. That is the only functionality principal switch will do. I mean, that is the only extra responsibility it has. Okay, apart from that, I don't have any extra features or extra functionalities. Okay, how principal switch can be elected means whatever the switch, the switch which is having highest domain ID in the sense of here it will be like ranking system. For example, highest domain ID here is one is the highest domain ID, second one is the second highest domain ID, three is the highest domain ID, like that. Okay, now here, for example, if we have a five switches and the domain IDs of those five switches is 1 2 3 4 5, then switch, I mean, the switch which is having domain ID 1 will be elected as a principal switch automatically. For example, due to some maintenance activity or due to some other activity, you are planning to remove this switch which is having domain ID 1 from this fabric, then the next switch which is having highest domain ID will be elected as a principal switch automatically by fabric itself. Okay, if you want, you can do it manually by using a command. So what I'll do, I cannot show it here because this is a production environment. What I'll do, I'll share a document which is having commands and description with you, so you can go through that. I mean, this is the command to change the principal switch, like that. Okay, I'll share the document with you, separate document we have. I'll share the document with you. Okay, next thing, this is the command to check the entire fabric and what are the switches in this fabric. If you want to if you want to check the detailed information of switch which you logged into, the command is switch show. Switch show command will display the in detailed information about the switch where you logged into. Okay, here this is the switch name and switch type. When you logged into Netapp, it will show you the model number straight away, right? But in Brocade, it will not show you the model number straight away. What it will do? It will show you the switch type. From the switch type, you by using some, I mean, you can enter the switch type in Google, like Brocade switch models. If you run this, just open this link, then you can able to find the all switch types and switch models here. Let me show you that so you can understand. Here our switch type is 71, 71.2. Okay, that means 71 we have to consider. Switch type 71 means that is a Brocade 300 switch. Let's assume if it is a 77, then the switch model is DCX4S. Okay, Brocade switch will not display the model number in a command line. Okay, it will show you only switch type. From switch type you have to find the switch model. Okay, and it will show you like what is the role of this switch. Is it a principal switch or a secondary switch? Everything. What is the domain ID? Everything it will display. Okay, what is the zoning status? Here we have not enabled zoning because we have only one server and one storage, so we don't need to perform a zoning if we have only one server and one storage, because only two devices are connected to this fabric, so both of them will be connected directly to each other. Okay, and these are the ports what we have in this switch. We have 24 ports. 0 is the first port and 23 is the last port. Okay, and here these are the port speeds, like first three ports are 4GB ports and remaining all are 8GB ports. That's why it is showing as N8, N4, like that. Okay, and here we can notice that there are a lot of we have a different states here. Some of them are showing online, some of them are showing a no light, some of them are showing a no module. What does it mean by? I'll explain you now. Okay, let's assume this is our switch, right? Our switch have a SAN ports, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, these SAN ports are it connects just a hole. You cannot connect cable to these SAN ports directly. Okay, you have a intermediate component called SF. Oh, sorry. Okay, you have a one more component called SFP. What you have to do? You have to purchase SFPs. Okay, you have to purchase SFP modules. SFP modules are they are like this. This is the SAN SFP module. Okay, you need to purchase this module and you have to insert this module in switch port. Okay, you have to insert this module in switch port. Then only you can able to connect fiber channel cable to switch. I'll show you how fiber channel cable will be. So yeah, this is our fiber channel cable. Okay, one is for transmission and another one is for receiving data, transmitting data and receiving data. Okay, you can connect this cable to the SFP, and SFP will be inserted into the switch port. That is how it will work. Here, if it is showing online means, then SFP module is already inserted in that port and cable also connected. Then only it will show you online. It will show the port status as online. If you have only SFP module is present, but you have not connected the cable to it, cable to the SFP module, then it will show you like no light. Okay, SFP module is there on that port, but you have not yet connected the cable, then it will show you as no light. Even SFP module is not there on that port, I mean SFP module is not inserted to that port, then it will show you like no module. These are the three states. Okay, you got it? Any doubts so far? Okay.
Okay, now it's fine.
Yeah. Okay, and we are using only these 6 ports. Okay, that is and these are the WWPN of the host which are connected to this switch. It might be storage or it might be server. These, I mean, these are the host initiator WWPNs which are connected to these ports. Okay, next. If you want to see what is the management IP configuration and everything, those details, you can run this command IP addr show. This command will display what is the management IP of the switch and everything details. If you you bought this switch first time, you don't have any management IP, you logged into console and you connected to the switch through console, then if you want to configure IP address, then you can run this command IP addr set and hit enter. Then it will ask you to enter the IP, enter the subnet mask, enter the gateway, all those details. It will ask you to enter. Okay, IP addr set. If you want to do some health check like temperature, like you can run this command temp show. It will display the temperature of the switch. And fan show, it will display the fans. I mean, we used to have a fans in this inside this switch which will help us to cool the switch because it will be up and running all the time, right? So these fans will help us to reduce the temperature of the switch. So we you can check the fan status also. And PS show, it will display the power supply status. This is a very old switch we have, that is why we got only one power supply. But nowadays we are getting switches with a redundant power supply. That means more than one power supply will be there. So if one power supply lost also, we can switch can able to survive with the another power supply. Okay, and if you want to check the logs of the switch, then the command is support show. This is the command to check the logs of the switch. Support show. So these are the logs. Okay, I'm stopping this one. Okay, now Control C. If you press Control C, then immediately it will stop displaying these logs. For example, if you got some issue, you request you are in call with vendor. He requested you to upload the logs. He want that you need to submit the logs to him. Okay, you need to upload the logs to the vendor. In order to do that, first you have to save the logs. You have to capture the logs from the switch, and then only you can upload it, right? So in order to capture the logs, in order to save the logs from the switch, command is support save. Support save is the command to save the logs from the switch. If you run this command, it will ask you for your confirmation. I said yes. Then it will ask you to enter the IP address. I mean IP address of the server where you are planning to save the logs. After that, it will ask you for username and password. Once you entered username and password, then it will ask you for the location where you want to store, like a folder location or something. If you enter that, then it will save the logs in the given location. Okay, from there you can upload the logs to the vendor. So he can uh, go through those logs and he will give us information what is the issue, everything he can tell us, he can give us a solution by reviewing the logs. Okay, these are the two very two important commands: support save and support show. Okay, so if you want to see in detail information about the port, you can run this command port show, and you have to give the port number. So it will display in detail information like uh, what is the remote device connected to this port. That means whatever storage or server connected to this port, it will display that WWPN number, and what is the speed of the port, everything it will display. Okay, all the details. It will display as the in detail information about that particular port. Okay, you can check it on all the ports like that. Okay, there is no device connected to it. That's why it is showing empty here. Okay, so if you want to check about that, if we want to check about the details of SFP, which is presented on that port, we can run this command SFP show, and you have to give the port number there. So it will display the details about the SFP. SFP means that module which we have inserted to that port. Here in SFP, you can see the RX and TX. Two values will be there. RX, TX means the transmission and receiving speed. Okay, it will display the transmission and receiving power. So if it is not displaying any values, sometimes if it will not display any values in RX or TX. That means that SFP is faulty. You need to replace that SFP. If SFP is faulty, then you used to get a lot of performance issues, or your server may not able to see the LUNs, server or storage will not able to see the LUNs. Those kind of issues will be occurred. We'll discuss more about this in SAN troubleshooting, which we'll discuss at the end of the course. Okay, this is the command to check the detailed information about the SFP. Okay. So again, Ali show these commands are to check the aliases. As I mentioned here, we haven't configured aliases, zones, and configuration, because we don't have any, you know, we have only one server and one storage connected to this particular fabric. That is the reason we have not configured, and those are not licensed even. Actually, we purchased the SAN switch without a zoning license, as we don't need a zoning. For if you want to implement zoning, you need to purchase a license. Like you can see the licenses here, license show. By using this command, you can check the licenses, whatever licenses we have. We have only fabric license, all these stuff, only these licenses only. Okay, we don't have a zoning license. If you want to configure zoning, aliases, all these stuff, then you need to purchase another license. But nowadays uh, it will be coming with the switch by default. Zoning license will be there in each and every switch. Okay, and CFG show, it will display you the active all configuration. We as I mentioned earlier, we haven't configured any configurations also. CFG ACTV show, it will display as the only active configuration. Okay, thing is, in my company, these SAN switches will be taken care by networking team only. That is the reason I don't have access to those SAN switches. Only switches I have access is these two switches on these fabrics only, because they are not in production, they are into development. That is the reason they provided access to me. Just a second, I'm getting a call. Hello. Okay. Next. Okay, these are the things. You can see. And apart from this, as I mentioned here earlier, like switched fabric is a intelligent network, right? So why we call it as intelligent network? Because whatever the ports which are resides on the SAN switches, those are software specific, and they can configure themselves. So if we connect server, it can automatically configure itself. According to the server. If you connect storage now, it will automatically reconfigure itself according to the storage. Okay. So These are the ports we have. I mean, type of ports. The type of ports means these are not a physical type of ports. These are configuration ports. I mean, like you can change the configuration on ports. Okay, we have a 5 types. Actually, we have more than this, but most of the times we'll use only these 5 ports only. By default, all the ports will be in marked as a G port. G port means generic port. That means which are ready to configure as a any port. Okay, and NL port means node loop port, and the FL port means fabric loop port. This node loop port and fabric loop port will configure as these ports when they are placed into or when they are connected to any FCAL topology. So we don't have any FCAL topologies now. I mean, that means nowadays nobody is using FCAL topology, so you will not get a chance to see these 2 ports. I mean, you don't need to configure port type to these 2 ports. Okay, E port means expansion port. Expansion port means let's assume I have a SAN switch. Okay, in this SAN switch, I mean all the ports are full now. So what I have done, I bought a new switch, one more SAN switch. So in order to make sure that both of them are in fabric, I need to connect these 2. Okay, I need to connect these 2 switches. Then only they can able to communicate with each other, and they can form a they'll be in a single fabric. Okay, in order to do that, I need to make sure that I configured whatever the ports on both switches which are connected to each other. I must have to make sure that I have configured them as a E port. Then only they can able to communicate with each other. I mean, whatever port you configured as a E port, that port only can able to communicate with the other port on the switch. Okay, if you configure it as a F port, then it is a port which is ready to connect to any server or storage. Okay, these are the types of ports what we have. Okay, by default every port will be G port only. Okay, you need to change the configuration. I'll give you commands that I'm going to provide you a document which will give us how to change the port configuration also. Okay, that you can able to see how to change the port configuration to E port, how to change the port configuration to F port, how to change it to FL port. Everything will be there in this document. Okay, so can I proceed or can I stop it for today? It's your wish. Hello.
You can proceed now.
Yeah. So let's assume what we'll do in order to connect multiple switches in a fabric. What we'll do, we'll establish the first. What we'll do, we'll convert the ports as expansion ports. Okay, in old days we used to do that, expansion ports. Okay, so what I used to do, we used to connect these 2 ports here, these 2 ports here. They used to configure 2 more ports here. They used to configure 2 more ports here. Like that, we used to configure a fabric. Okay, all these are E ports only, because if you are connecting one switch another with another switch, you need to configure those ports as an expansion port. Okay, but sometimes we might have different models. I mean, it is not mandatory to use same models within the fabric. You can use a different models, like let's assume DCX 85104. Let's assume that is it. Okay, and we have 48K here, 48,000. You can use different models of switches within a fabric. You can combine the different models. It is unlike Netapp. In Netapp, it is not possible, right? You have to use the same model within HFS. But here, You can use different models of switches. Okay, in this kind of scenario, uh, there may be, I mean, what you will do in order to improve the bandwidth, in order to improve the communication between the switches, what you will do, you will trunk these ports sometimes. Okay, you can configure trunking. Trunking means, you know, right, if groups. It's like a if grouping on Netapp. What we'll do here, we'll trunk the ports. I mean, we'll combine those two physical ports and we'll make it as a logical port. After that, what we'll do, we'll configure ISL. That means inter switch link. In order to establish the communication between these two switches, you must have to configure the ISL. Then only these two switches can able to communicate with each other. You need to configure ISL between all of them. Whatever the switches we have in Fabric, we need to configure ISL between all of them. Then only they can able to communicate with each other. This ISL means inter switch link. Okay, inter switch. This is a this is a concept which we'll use to establish the communication between the switches. But the whatever new model switches we have in generation 5, that means DCX. But in order to configure this inter switch link, we must have to use the ports, right? Ports on the switch. So we are, if we have only 3 switches, then we have used 4 ports on each switch, right? So that means we are wasting 4 ports on each switch to establish the communication between those switches. If you have a more switches now, you have to use more ports, right? That will be waste of ports. So in order to reduce this wastage of ports, they bought a concept called ICL. ICL means inter chassis link. Okay, inter chassis link. This is the one more concept. So, okay, this inter chassis link, this concept is started from only DCX series. Now it is only with DCX series, DCX and DCX 4S, DCX 85104 and DCX 85108. Only we have this concept in these switches only, ICL concept. That means we used to have a dedicated ports for this inter switch communication. That means if you want to connect one switch with another switch, you can use these ports, ICL ports, which are dedicated for internal communication between switches. Okay, you can use those ports. So if you are using ICL ports now, you don't need to waste the normal ports, and you don't need to configure them as a E port. You can use them instead of configuring ISL. You can use them for to connect to the server or to connect to the storage. Okay, that is the difference between ISL and ICL. Now I'll show you ISL and ICL ports physically. Okay, let me show you that. Okay. Yes, this is a DCX 8510 series switch, and all these are normal fabric port switches. I mean fabric ports, and this is a service processor blade. These two are okay. These two are service processor blades, and we have extra blades, right? These two extra blades. These are ICL blades, ICL port blades. Okay, these two are ICL port blades, which will be used for internal communication between the switches. Okay, if you go to 48K or whatever series we have, 24K, 12K, we don't have these ICL chassis. Okay, and these are not DCX. Sorry, let me remove that. Okay, yes, this is a 48K. This don't have any ICL chassis. I mean ICL blade. will be not there in this 48K. You must have to use these whatever ports we have, generic ports only. We have to convert them into E ports. Then only we can establish the communication between two switches. But from in DCX series, we have a separate separate blade called ICL blade. Okay, by using the ICL ports, we can establish the communication between the switches within the fabric. Okay, they'll not ask you these all these topics in interview perspective. These are not important, but if you want to be a SME, you want to configure a new fabric, you want to expand a new fabric, then only you used to work on these topics. These are very crucial concepts, ICL and ISL, all these stuff, port configuration, everything. These are very very crucial stuff. They'll not allow you to work on these. You'll get a chance to work on this very rarely. Okay, even I configured all this stuff only once in my career. That's it. If you are configuring any new data center, you don't have anything there, you are configuring your SAN setup first time, then only you will get a chance to work on all this stuff. Okay. Any doubts so far?
Fine, Naveen.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to start a new meeting. Please join there so we can finish the switch stuff today.